Well, the low-tax Tories have hiked tax in a way that Labour would actually be proud of. I mean shit, they're using the same lines Labour would use to justify it by claiming this is all being done to protect the sainted NHS, our new religion, in the eyes of these politicians. As you know, we've seen the so-called Conservatives using the Labour Party election scare tactic as a way to manipulate the public for the past 18 months. Anyone who remembers the past 4 or 5 elections will remember Labour talking about how you needed to vote for them to save the NHS from disaster in either days, weeks or months, depending on when the next election was being held. Now obviously it often fails when they do it, but apparently when the Tories say it, people actually believed it was the truth. It seems though many also failed at realising lockdowns and focusing on one illness for 18 months would sink the corrupt and wasteful NHS further down the shitter than it already was. Now, as we know, the NHS are spending up to 70k a year on diversity and inclusion managers, not on doctors or shit like that. This, while still a problem, is only a small part of the actual problem that is the NHS and actually the country as a whole. A bigger problem is the issue that has been building up for decades at this point. Yes, massive uncontrolled illegal immigration over decades that is literally ramping up now, along with lax entry requirements for legal migration into this country. When you have a health system that's paid for by tax and free at the point of use, uncontrolled migration will always cause the shit show we have been seeing unfold for years now when it comes to the NHS. The media might not point it out because shutting up for the sake of diversity is not something these fuckpigs only agree with when it comes to Pakistani grooming gangs in Rotherham, no. They will indeed demand you shut up for the sake of diversity in relation to anything that shows migration having a negative impact on the UK. Our weak and corrupt governments going back decades along with a complicit woke media have caused this shit show with the last 18 months just accelerating it to the point that we're at now. This is why my anger is always at our scumbag politicians on not migrants, both legal and illegal. I understand wanting to make your life better, only an idiot wouldn't. But our elected politicians letting them in is what I have a massive problem with and always will. As you know, the government has the power to stop illegal immigration and seriously limit legal migration, which would help the NHS, but they don't. Instead, they let between 500 and 1,000 or more enter the UK illegally via the channel every day while opening the borders to countless other nations' citizens the world over. They are the problem, not migrants of any description, in my mind, and for anyone with half a brain cell, let's be honest. The same is also true for the NHS, and more so now with a year of no treatment and bullshit from this government that is not only going to increase waiting lists as we're seeing already, but is also going to cause a lot of preventable deaths due to mistreatment, which we are also already seeing. As you know, cancer kills if left untreated full fucking stop regardless of age and health. Heart disease and diabetes if left untreated also kills, which these idiots knew about in advance and clearly didn't give a flying fuck about. Also, the people who went along with it for all this time deserve some blame for being so short-sighted that they could not see the obvious happening. But still, the government and politicians are responsible and where the buck stops if you ask me. Old tosspot Boris Johnson, though, expects you to pay a new tax that won't actually go to the health service, let me tell you this. It'll be used to cover his spending over the past 18 months, the utter scumbag. In fact, I find it laughable that after all this time of telling us to stay away to protect the NHS, he now expects us to pay for it failing to treat our families over the past 18 months. When at this stage many will know people who have been given a death sentence by this government and the NHS through undiagnosed cancer or mistreatments from various illnesses. As I've said before, I personally do, and at this point have probably got 250 messages or more. These are people literally in the same position with family members now sentenced to death thanks to this bullshit. At the end of the day, them telling us we need to pay more is yet another slap in the face if you ask me. Hopefully though, it's things like this which will wake people up to this government's lunacy, which this actually seems to be doing, because shit like this will only continue as they try to solidify the powers that they have gained. As I've said before, it can be stopped if enough people stand up and say enough is enough. We do not consent to this lunacy any longer.